Hello everybody and welcome into the weekly recap. Today we're talking about the SCC playoffs, specifically for the European region. We had 8 teams walk in this weekend over the course of 2 groups. Eventually that gets finalized down to only now 2 teams qualifying to the SWC group stage in January. We're going to talk a little bit about the 2 teams that made it. I'm J-Mac, I got Charlie and Inbound joining me here on the couches so we can talk about these 2 teams. And Bobby, I want to start with the number 1 seed that made it through. Hex Mambo, the fan favorite to make it through, probably complete expectations. And it feels like this might just be the team to beat come SWC group stage.
Yeah, I think you got to talk about them as the team to beat. I mean, 8-1. They really dropped no games. They lost the one to the Wargs, but it was them more making mistakes than I think the Wargs really playing it well because they had that team fight or the objective style comp. But the Wargs really did play fantastic. Johnny is still playing lights out. Overall, I think they have very minimal weaknesses. I think their weaknesses are mostly just not getting active enough, which has always kind of been a European complaint where they just don't get active enough early. But if the teams play slower, we've seen this team, same type of players, compete at Worlds before. I wouldn't be surprised to see them compete again.
Yeah, I mean, Hex Mambo made a hell of a run last time. Almost any event that Hex Mambo comes out to, they always seem to be the shining stars amongst the SCC teams. But right behind them, we had the Solar Scarabs, our 2nd seed, to now qualify through after a 2-0 against the Niflheim Wargs in their finals. Charlie, what is it about this Solar Scarabs roster that can really shine some extra light for them and give them a chance towards the qualifiers?
Well, I mean, I think they had the complete opposite approach of the Mambo, right? Where Mambo just didn't drop a lot of games, made it through, whereas the Scarabs, they had to go through the gauntlet. They got dropped down to the losers bracket once or twice, so they really did get tested here. They lost to the Wargs, ended up winning this time around for their qualifier game in the 2-0, which looked a lot cleaner, but it's not as if they couldn't bleed, right? I think it might actually benefit them. I think going through your own bracket so cleanly is, it's all good. It shows you're the top seed for a reason, but the Scarabs in this case, they took some lumps, right? They had some not great sieges, they had some not great fire giant fights, but they adapted, they learned, and this last set that we just witnessed was pretty clean from them, right? I think that was a big difference maker for me, was the fact that they learned, okay, our siege wasn't so great, or okay, we needed more engage. Let's draft like a Priel on this Hunbats, for example, and he had a fantastic performance and just essentially hard carried the last game. So for me, they were like a sponge for learning, and they just took in a lot of information, and they looked way better at the end of this tournament than they did at the beginning.
Yeah, I think the Solar Scarabs made a massive improvement over the course of this one. I think you're right to shout out Priel, probably the MVP of the team for his squad or anything else. And then over for Hex Mambo, got to talk about Johnny as well. It really felt like a jungler showcase here for the EUSCC. And that does wrap up the EUSCC, at least playoffs for them. Remember, Hex Mambo, Solar Scarabs, they made their way to the SWC group stages in January, but we still have 2 more teams that we have to find. The North American will be starting up in this upcoming week on Thursday, so make sure you tune in at 11 a.m. to see which NA teams are going to have their chance at the World's qualifiers. That's it from myself, Charlie, and Inbound. Hope to see you at the SWC qualifiers and hope to see you for the SCC playoffs this upcoming Thursday.
They needed to get a